Your nature in regards to change or in regards to difficult things or difficult conversations, our nature is to bury our head in the sand, right? That's the easier option for most people.
Right.
And on the coaching side, especially, I find that's a lot of times what I'm trying to do. It's like, you're working a lot of times with somebody who's already made that decision, who already knows that ultimately divorce is what's going to, what they're going to have to do. But getting started in that direction just seems like this huge mountain. Doing, difficult things is, you have to find that motivation inside of you. It doesn't come from externally. And I think that is also a mistake we see a lot of divorcing people make. I'll use my ex-husband as an example. Is I think he thought if, he was just kind of in this rut, and he thought if he changed all these external things, it would fix it.
Yeah.
But really, he needed to figure out how to, find his happiness and motivation and everything from the internal perspective.
Right. And I think it's the goal. It's
right.
What you're trying to build.
Right.
Like, for example, we teach in many episodes that you need to be nice to your ex. Be so nice that it makes you feel a little sick to your stomach. Now, the sick to your stomach part comes from the fact that you'd rather tell him to shove it up his nose.
Shove it where the sun don't shine, as I like to say.
Right. Or her.
Her.
You're the,
yes.
If we represent the guy, I have the guys, she has the gals.
Right.
But sometimes you don't want to be nice to her. You want to send something nasty or something.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you get to that point where you're not doing that, where you suppress your natural inclination? Because that's really what we have to do over and over again in this process, is suppress our natural inclination.
What it comes down to is your short-term versus long-term trade-offs.
Yes.
So in the immediate, it gives you a little bit of gratification to tell that other person to, take a flying leap, right? But the problem is that if you do that, you create grief for yourself over the long haul in the form of your parenting plan. We're so up to our eyeballs in decisions. Do I sell the house? Do we buy each other out? What's the parenting schedule going to be, and all this kind of stuff. And you're very, very focused on the short term, on what's happening right now.
Right. How do I get the podcast to work?
How do I get the stupid camera to record? I was having a lot of technical issues going into this episode. I was so frustrated. Thomas was like, are you going to be able to shift into...
Short term, it was not good.
It was not good, but I...
Felt like giving up.
Yes,
frankly.
But we pulled it out.
Felt like going to Huckleberry.
I had to call for some technical backup from my son, but we got it. But, I think that that's one of the big mistakes in divorce is we see people do a short-sighted thing.
Right, yes.
And it cuts off their long-term options.
Right. Exactly.
We had a case several years ago where the woman kind of just, felt guilty about a lot of different things. And she just kind of threw her hands up and said, I don't want any of the property. I don't want anything. I just want out.
Right.
And they had a small child, and she let dad have custody essentially. And then we kept saying through the whole thing, don't do this. You're going to regret this. We sent her to get attorney review. Right. We did everything we could to cover ourselves, because it was like, she is going to regret this. Like, we tried to get through to her. And about 3 or 4 years later, I got a phone call that said, Henry, what do I do? I shouldn't have done this. And I think that's, in the emotional part, in the emotional aspect of the divorce process, it's easy to do things in the short term that cut your nose to spite your face kind of thing for the long term. And, and a lot of this comes down to, know thyself, right?
Yeah.
And know what's important to you.
Yeah. And we've been through that in other episodes where we talk about how to visualize and how to find out what for you is that big giant why. For some of you, it's going to be getting the big rigs to go where they want to go.
And God bless you if it is, because
Yeah.
it's not me.
Yeah, and I find watching Kanoa surf to be immensely entertaining, but I can't do what he does.
Right.
That's not my big giant why. But whatever it is, you've got to find it, because what happens in divorce is we get sidetracked about worrying about what they're doing.
Right.
What is your ex doing?
Right.
How can I control them? How can I get them to stop trying to manipulate
What's their
me?
motive?
What's
Why
their
are they
motive?
doing this?
Right. And all that thinking is going to get you off your game.
Exactly.
And you need to be on your game. This is life. This is the big leagues for you.
Right.
And that goal is vital to your happiness. It's vital to your kids' happiness.
Right.
It's vital to passing on a legacy to the next generation.
Right.
And to me, that's what gets my juices flowing.
Yeah.
I sat up there and I gave my son a pep talk. And I love giving him a pep talk because I feel like I'm contributing to his drive and to him doing what he needs to do to find his happiness.
Right.
And that's the thing. So put it up on put a picture of it somewhere. Keep reminding yourself. When you go to sleep at night, meditate on it. When you get up in the morning, that should be the first thing you think about. And it will order all the rest of your activity throughout the day.
Yeah, and if you're like, a lot of times I'm working with moms who are, entering back into the workforce, and again, like they get this very large, like, oh, well, here's what I'm educated in, or here's what here's what I did before, or this is what my degree's in, whatever. And it's like, okay, that's what you did before, but that was 15 years ago and no kids. Now you've got kids and you've got, you're older. You probably have different needs. It's not as simple as, when we're young, just having a job that actually pays us money. It's like, woo, that's fantastic. But I think as you start to get older, it's like just the money alone isn't enough to keep you motivated.
Right.
You've got to feel like you're contributing or helping or doing something. And so don't get stuck in this mode of, oh, I have to do A because I have a degree in that. I have to do B because I used to work in this.
Yeah.
What worked for you then might not work for you now. You're in a different state at this point. And going through divorce is sort of like a clean slate.
Yep.
It's like you have this fresh block to work from to figure out what kind of life you want to create.
What do I want to do with the rest of my life?
There you go.
All right. Today is the first day
of the rest of your life.
Rest of your life. Start it right with Total.
Now we're advertising cereal, are we?
Right.
I don't even think I've ever eaten Total. Have you?
Yeah, I think I have. Isn't it like flakes or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to try that before the next episode so we can give an update.
Yeah.
All right, so we hope this has been helpful to you. If you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel so you get notified as new videos come out. If you're listening to the podcast, same thing for you. Please rate and review us and subscribe so that you get notified as new episodes are released. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon. Turn